Hey everybody, Zee Garcia here, and today we're going to be running our own amusement park for fun and profit in Wishland. Wishland here is a worker placement game at its core. You're going to be sending out workers and then buying new rides and building restaurants, hiring new workers and mascots, all sorts of things. You're going to be playing over several rounds, and then, of course, at the end of the game, you'll score a few different bonuses, try to walk away with the most victory points. But it's basically a card game. It's mostly a card game with a few spots you send workers to. We're going to go ahead and take a look at it. I'll show you on the table how this all comes together, and I'll see you on the other side for some final thoughts. The game is going to last 7 rounds, tracked right here. Each of those rounds gives each player 4 turns, tracked right here above it. And at the end of those, then whoever has the most victory points is going to be the winner. So I'm going to talk you through the different sections and then take you through what a turn would look like, so you'll have an idea of what's going on in the game. So we've got up here, this is the tracker, like I said. Here we have an area where players will decide when they'd like to take their turn. But if you go later, you get a better bonus as you select that location. Here we've got some bonuses, some achievements you can unlock, and as you select one and complete that thing, say the first player to 15 victory points, we are going to mark it. You get 1 bonus victory point and nobody else can do it. Here we have a track for the happiness at your park, here for visitors, and then down here we've got your extra workers that you can hire. We've got over here an advertisement space you can choose to go to with your workers. And then some bonuses here for mascots you earn or hire. And then here for some end of game scoring based on these cards up here. And this section, of course, is where you can buy these cards to put in front of you. Now, we begin with this ticket office here. And the ticket offices limit how many other cards you can have. So you can have, per ticket office, 1 of the other kinds of cards. If I already have a green card and I'd like another one, well, I need to have another ticket office first. The exception to that is yellow cards up here, which are rides. And in fact, they function very much like these ticket offices, meaning that having a yellow card gives you the ability to have a second blue or red or green or a black mascot card down there, okay? So you can think of these as the limits to the other cards. If I had 1 of each, the one I started with, plus perhaps this right here, then I can have 2 of every color in front of me. All right? So here is the flow of the game. At the beginning, we are going to choose the turn order. Someone has this token in front of them, and that just means they get to select on here first. So yellow's going to go, they're going to select this spot here, which has an instant bonus of giving them 1 coin. So they take that coin. Then blue will go, and they'll select the next spot over, which gives them a victory point. They will go ahead and track that victory point. And then green will go, and they could go earlier. They'll get the first choice, but they get no bonus. Or they could go later and get something. So they're going to go after them. And if they go here, they select either 1 happiness, 1 visitor, or 1 worker. They're going to go ahead and take the happiness. Now you'll see on the happiness track and on the visitor track, the odd numbers will give you either 1 victory point up here or 2 coins down here. So as green takes that spot, they also earn a victory point. And with that step done, we go to the income phase. During the income phase, all the players are going to get 5 coins, and then you also will check any recurring income you have from your cards, typically from your restaurant cards here. They will have on them either one-time coins, but what we're looking at now, this recurring payment. So if we had some of those, we'd be making more money right now. And then we move on to the turns phase, in which the players are going to, in this order, take 4 turns each, okay? Obviously, around the table. So the yellow player will be first, and they can select one of 2 things. You can send out workers to one of these locations to buy a card or to the advertisement spot, or they can recall all their workers. Both of those are a turn. So if you send them out, let's explain over here the advertisement first. You send out a worker there, you are going to get 1 coin, and then one of these three things. Okay, happiness, you go up on the track, visitors, or a worker, which you take off of there. All right. If you go to one of these, you would then go there and pay for a card you'd like to purchase and purchase that card. If someone has already been somewhere and you'd like to go there, then you need to send one worker plus one per grouping that's already there. Okay, so what that means is yellow's already been here and blue wants to go, then they would send one, and there's a previous group, so one more. This does not always mean one more than the biggest group, so you have to be mindful of that. For example, if it comes back around to yellow and yellow recalls all their workers, and now it goes to green and green wants to go there, it would be 1 plus 1 per previous grouping, which is just one more. Not 3, just 2. Okay? So be aware of that rule. It can definitely trip you up because the other way to do it is more common in worker placement games. So let's say yellow, like I said, wants to go there. They're going to go there. They're going to pay 1 coin, and they are going to acquire this card. They put it in front of them. If it has any triggered actions that happen right now immediately, you would deal with that. This one does not, and you do not refill this. And we continue. Next up would be blue. Blue might go here, for example, make 1 coin, and then they are going to earn 1 visitor. So they go there, and they earn 2 coins for that spot that they've just landed on. Green's going to go. They'll go somewhere, and after green goes and buys something, so green will go, let's go there, pay 4, and take this card. Then we are going to move here, and yellow will go, okay? And this will track those 4 turns. Once that's all done, and we've finished this one, then we'll go to the next round. We clear any remaining cards, we'll replenish those, and we begin again with the selecting of the turn order, passing this to the next player so that they have first shot at whichever one they'd like, okay? And this again continues until the game is over. So a few things now as far as scoring goes and what these cards generally do. The rides up here are largely victory points, and again, they allow you to have more of the other cards. These characters here, which are the actors, normally give you a lot of visitors, a lot of happiness, a lot of workers, that sort of thing. The restaurants, as you know, give you income and have to do with income. The green ones, which are the hotels, all have a unique special ability. And they're really going to make what you do pretty different, okay? There's all sorts of them. So this one, for example, here says that whenever you complete one of these goals, you get a bonus of a worker or 1 happiness or 1 visitor. And there's all sorts of things. This one just gives you 3 coins, but it's free. Some of them let you pay 2 extra coins, such as this one here whenever you purchase a card. But when you do, you get a point. So I could pay for this card 3 coins instead of 1, and I'll get a bonus victory point. They're really going to inform your strategy in the game. And then lastly, these mascots show you a symbol, and you'll use those symbols for victory points at the end of the game, checking on other cards that have matching symbols to the ones they're looking for. All right? Also, if you complete your track all the way up here on happiness, you unlock a new scoring opportunity at the end of the game. Same thing here. And then if you take all of your workers off of the track, you are allowed to send extra workers above and beyond what you need to reduce your cost for something. So I can go there for the one I need, the 1 extra for there being green there, but then I could send up to 3 extras, say 1 and 2 more, and I could reduce the cost of 1 coin per. So now I could buy this card for 0 cost, and I would just take it. All right? So there you go. You're also checking some little symbols down here on the bottoms of these cards, and you're looking for different symbols for a bonus scoring there. But that's basically what's going on. And again, this all goes away, and you replenish it with a new fill at the end of every one of these rounds made up of 4 turns each. So there you go. That's the general flow of the game. That should give you an idea of what's going on in the game. Let's go ahead and go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. There have been a lot of games lately that use a similar theme to this one. You're building a park, or you're building a fair, running a fair, some sort of attraction, and you're tracking guests and employees you're hiring, things like that. I think of all those, I find the most of them to be okay games. It's not a theme I adore necessarily, and the games therefore aren't necessarily captivating to me. This one I really like. I think it's one of my favorites in this setting or genre or whatever you want to call it. So I very much enjoyed my plays of this one. I was very excited about it. So here we go. Let's talk about it, shall we? We're going to start with the one thing I think is a little bit weaker, and then I'll talk about all the other things that I feel strongly about. So the game arc is the one thing that feels a little odd, feels a little off, I should say. There's a reshuffle. For some reason, all the cards in all of the decks you're drafting from will run out at the end of the 6th round. And so you reshuffle all the decks of cards and then play the 7th round, and then the game is over. And that seems strange to me. I'm of two minds about it, right? So it's the one thing I think is, okay, so they wanted the players to be able to have a last chance to see some card that got by, and they're hoping that it gets flipped over in those last 4 ones that get revealed. Okay, but one time, 4 cards is unlikely that you'll see the one that got away. So there's that. There's also the idea of, why couldn't they just add 4 more cards to each of those decks, and then you never have to reshuffle? You don't have to do that whole, it's like this strange step when the game is almost over now, and you have to, okay, wait, you have to reshuffle all the decks and flip over 4 cards again. So, yeah, also the game maybe should have been 7 rounds. 6 rounds instead of 7 rounds to avoid that, because 7 is a little long. It's just a touch long. Again, all of those things, I think, for me, feed into the game arc, which is the only issue that I have a small problem with. Everything else, I do enjoy. From the top, theme and thematic ties. I like it. I like what's going on. I like that you're hiring the mascots and the workers and tracking your happiness, tracking your visitors. That all works for me. The aesthetics. I think some of the icons could be a little bit better, but overall, it's very solid. I like the way that they explain everything. So the way everything looks, the way the cards feel, the way the board is laid out, I have no issues with any of those things. The information that's there is well presented, works well, and looks good doing it. The replay value. Many different paths to victory, which I like that, depending on which of the different things you got to the end, the happiness or the visitors or what have you. Usually you'll try to get a couple of those to the end, maybe even all 3, including the workers. Which of those things you do, which of the green cards you draft, the hotel ones I think they're called. Mascots, if you go heavily into the mascots. Depending on what you do, there's certainly what feels like many different paths to victory. The games also tend to be very tight, which I like a lot. The scoring is close. And there's also, which I didn't even talk about in the overview, these entrepreneurs, which are an optional kind of card. And you get 2 of those at the beginning, keep 1, and it gives you some scoring opportunity, whether it's an in-game ongoing reward or an end-of-game scoring reward. I like that a lot, and it's another thing that makes you distinct, is going to change up the replayability in the game. Ease of play. Really good rule book. I think the rule book is quite well written. I love that they take a lot of pages to break down all of the hotel cards, which would be the one thing to trip you up. They have a whole breakdown of them. They explain what the cards do, and then here are the entrepreneur cards, to break that down, to make sure that you understand it. Great way to do it. I like it a lot. Some of the rules that tie to scoring sometimes can be a little bit obtuse. Just that's a design thing. I'm not talking about the rule book or anything else, but that can hurt the ease of play a little bit. Like that weird shuffle can break the flow. But there's also things like, the scoring for the mascots is a little strange. Add up all these symbols, then score half of that rounded down. Okay. Score extra. There's some of the special cards that say you score extra symbols that you didn't use to do this other thing. Small things like that. Overall, again, not a big deal. There's a couple of hiccups along the way. Lastly, tactics, luck, strategy. There's plenty of things to pursue. It's very cool that you can start building your own way to do things in the game. Oh, my income is suffering. I don't make nearly as much money as these other two players when the income phase comes around. But I have this special ability that says that every time I do this thing, I get a happiness point. So I'll be jumping up on that track. Or I'll be moving up on, the visitors track and making money that way and without needing the income to be that high. You definitely will build your own, I don't want to call it an engine, but there's hints of an engine building game in here. But, you're building your own buffet, and from that, trying to get to the end goal that everybody will be doing slightly differently. And I think that's very neat. So, like I said, overall, I like it. The theme here works well. The whole package comes together with a nice bow for me. I have a couple of issues. I feel like they should have just added 4 more cards to each of those decks. Don't make me do that shuffle thing. That seems weird. Or maybe if you have to do that, then do it on the 5th round. So I get to see, 4 cards that I already saw twice, not one time. It's such a weird hurrah, like final thing. Or maybe just make the game 6 rounds. But that's basically the extent of my issues, really, and some of the icons. Everything else, I do enjoy. This, from me, is going to get a strong 8 out of 10. That is a seal of approval, and I certainly recommend it. If you can get your hands on this one, then give it a go, especially if you're a fan of games that are about building amusement parks and rides and, that sort of venue. So there you go. That is Wishland, everybody. I like it. Thumbs up from me. Thanks for checking this out. I'm Zee Garcia, and I'm going to see you on the next one.